This week's podcast is on the dead internet theory from ColdFusion. This guy does a lot of great videos and just recently popped up on my feed, and I wanted to share it with everyone because this is something that I think the engineers are, hyper focused on, and it's kind of like old news to them. But some of these stats really blew my mind. And I just think it's probably something that publishers should understand, just for educating their readers on how different the news sites are from social media and the rest of the internet, as we'll see in some of the graphs. But we're actually doing better, but this is still a rising problem. And with AI blowing up, it's just going to be like a logarithmic growth.
Yeah, just the scale of it is just so much different now than it was with all the computing power, all the internet users, all the social media people that use those sites.
Watching this, let me just say this. Watching this, I truly felt like it was like a Morpheus Matrix moment.
It does have a little bit of that. Yeah, it does have a little bit.
Because then you realize, Jesus, so half of the interactions. I mean, I've known, when you get a follower that's joined 2 days ago and they have no followers themselves, you can tell that's a bot. But it's just disturbing to think about how much of the content is fake. And I don't know. I think our job is just going to be sorting that out. Like they talk about in this, computer scientists, their job is going to be basically identifying bots from humans. That's going to become
this report is actually, Imperva is a web app security firm that offers services to identify and fight bots, which is why they're placed well to actually have numbers on all this stuff, because their clients are the ones that they are being like, oh yeah, there was 1 million of these that happened over here, and it took 40 hours to get rid of it and stuff. So it's a lot of interesting things going on. But you want to go ahead and get this started and see what ColdFusion has to say? All right.
Welcome to another episode of ColdFusion. Since its invention in 1989 by Tim Berners-Lee, the web has been a place for people to share thoughts, ideas, and generally communicate. But today, something is changing. What if some of the users that you interact with in comment sections or social media sites are not human? There's a theory dubbed the dead internet theory that takes things further. Broadly, it states that most of the activity on the internet is in fact the work of bots. Have we witnessed the death of the internet and not even noticed? Since the fledgling start of language AI systems, most people boast that they can tell apart a human conversation versus one with an AI system. But what happens if this isn't the case? We'll see an interesting example of this later in the episode. But for now, let's dive into the dead internet theory.
You are watching ColdFusion TV.
In 2021, a user by the name of Illuminati Pirate posted a long ranting document called The Dead Internet Theory on the Agora Road Forum. The original post contained some questionable language, but there are some interesting ideas contained within it. The general thesis is this: every day, content is created, accessed, and shared by what we think are people. But increasingly, this content is being generated by bots. Bots without a heartbeat. Bots without thoughts or feelings. The internet has basically become a sea of bots with some islands of human activity. And it's, quote, sterile and devoid of people. For all intents and purposes, the internet is dead. The dead internet theory claims that AI content is mass-produced to manipulate users' thoughts and feelings, control populations, and manufacture fake consumers for products. That all does sound plausible, but where the theory goes off the rails is by claiming that the internet is controlled by a small group of people. These internet overlords use these bots to spy on us and control humanity. I think the rise of AI bots is more to do with profit and occasionally geopolitical foreign interference. It's not some evil group of moustache twirlers. And besides, back in 2021 when the theory was first proposed, there was no widespread generative AI. Flooding the entire internet with bots would have taken too many resources and too much coordination to be feasible for only such a small group of people. Excluding the nefarious plot part of the theory, how realistic is the rest of it? The dead internet theory can only be one of three things: absurd, a reality, or a prophecy of what's to come. Which is it? The craziest thing is that the ideas expressed are only becoming more true as time progresses. There's no getting away from the fact that humans' proportional relationship to bots is changing. In 2021, a study showed that only 57.7% of users on the internet were human. Harmful bots made up 27.7%, an increase of 2.1% from the previous year. Good bots can be things like search engine crawlers, whereas bad bots can carry out malicious attacks. The overall rate of bot growth was negative, but recently this is reversed, and the proportion of humans is the lowest in 8 years. And most concerningly, bad bots are increasing at a rate of 5% per year. Another estimate says that bots could be up to 64% of the internet. Whilst data isn't available just yet, the burgeoning abilities of generative AI will undoubtedly impact these numbers in the future.
So that's our first introduction to that part.
Yeah, good. That number's a good one to probably headline on the take home or printout, 64%. I mean, is there any downside to this? Like, are we hurting I guess they really need to be able to prove that it's better than other digital platforms, because they're going to have to say, look, news sites have this percentage of bots. Like, they're going to have to admit that. I guess that would be the downside, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the fact.
So let me bring this up, and we'll go back to a little bit of the beginning, because they've got a few definitions that I think are really helpful here. They've started ranking the bad bots as the simple ones are just single IP. There's some automated script stuff, and it just goes out as if it was a normal person. And then the moderate ones use a headless browser, and they're using JavaScript and things to work around. Like I believe some paywalled sites, it's just a JavaScript overlay that prevents a normal person from accessing the content until they log in. But you can get around that with some user agent switching and all kinds of other JavaScript things. And then the most advanced ones we have right now are the advanced ones that are actually emulating human behavior. And I was mentioning to Vera, I saw a picture of just basically a mobile phone farm that was just running bots on mobile phones to just access mobile sites, because they're better structured for mobile and things like that. So they've been targeting those even more. And then you get the real nasty ones, which do the things like cycling through random IPs, anonymous proxies, mimicking human behavior, delaying requests. They can beat CAPTCHAs, and then they mix it all together to be really aggressive on their attacks.
Do we have any way of knowing the percentage of bot traffic on any of our sites?
That's
well, I mean, what I'm thinking of is what's the plugin that we have to use to unblock a publisher?
We're using reCAPTCHA.
Oh yeah, Loganizer. Because if you look at that, you can see. I mean, I'm sure James can tell which ones are bots and which ones aren't right off by the Loganizer.
Yeah, there's various techniques to basically be on the lookout for the exact behavior I was just describing in those three types of bots. And yeah, so you're basically playing whack-a-mole, trying to identify the behavior that the bots are now using to recognize them as bots.
I'm just thinking, if you go back to 64% are bots, do we have any way where we could show? I mean, because Matt, you said, are we shooting ourselves in the foot, or are the publishers doing that by saying, our site has bot traffic?
Yeah, I can just imagine a publisher saying, like, I don't even want to talk about that,
And I wonder how much of that could be gained from like the user profile stuff that we get from Matimo.
Yeah.
Because you see like a 2-second interaction from Singapore,
Right.
and it's always on mobile. It's always on mobile, and so I would definitely say that there's a percentage.
Yeah, the only thing I caution with that is we have a lot of military overseas, and the only way that they can access home sites is
it's not just the location though; it's the behavior on the site.
Behaviors.
Yeah, so I guess the question is,
because what they do, what a lot of these guys do, or especially on YouTube, this comes up a little bit later in the video, but like on YouTube, the bots will just spam comments.
Yeah.
And they'll basically view the first 10 seconds of the video. They'll put some AI garbage comment in there, and then they'll just move on to another video, and they'll just go through that over and over and over and over and over again. And it's been completely skewing YouTube's metrics for a while.
Yeah, right.
It would just be really cool if we had the resources and the know-how to do, just even a ballpark percentage, so that
I'm sure James has got some insights, I think.
Yeah, I think his question would be like, well, what do you, like you said, what's the behavior? Like I'm sure he can filter the stats to just, get the visits in the log that were like less than 5 seconds, and then have an estimate based on that. But I don't know what else actually beyond that.
I'm just trying to equip our publishers with a comeback. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. Because there's even bots as a service. I actually saw a website where you can. This was when I was looking up vector database for the language model.
You can hire a bot.
Yeah, you just hire a bot, and it'll scrape your own site and continually update your vector database, so you don't have to do it locally. But it even advertises we can get around CAPTCHA, we can get around we do all the human stuff. Yeah, I forget the name of it right now, but yeah, you can just look that up. Or I did a quick search, and you can basically get open source Python code from GitHub that will. I think it even says. Paywall bypass is the name of the GitHub program. So that stuff is out there, and really the best way of mitigating it is behavior tracking and all that. I believe. Let me come back down. I think there was. So this is what they are doing. So they're using application firewalls, 3-second mitigation, API security. This is a certain kind of automated threat, some client-side protection for discovery and monitoring of third-party services on sites. So there's definitely tools out there, and some are provided by this particular company. But I'm sure there's things that we can do. Actually, here this is a good page. Here's your recommendations.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so risk identification. And this is a bit more for marketing and when you're selling products and whatnot. But we have the credit card spoofers a while back. I remember James mentioned that. So that's one thing we've experienced.
And that was Cecile.
What did Cecile have happen?
Oh, she had spoofs. She had all these transactions, and they were all bots.
Yeah, it was making MemberPress go nuts, right? Then they have the traffic evaluation, monitoring traffic. Those are your failed logins. We're doing some of this stuff anyway.
Wait, did we not have CAPTCHA when that happened? Sorry, does anyone remember?
We didn't have CAPTCHA on at all, and that's why we were looking into how to mitigate it to prevent it.
And now with 2FA, 2FA is probably the strongest thing that we have right now to fight any of this stuff.
Do we have any customers using 2FA?
No, I don't think so. Do we? It's just.
Well, I don't even know if they know it's available.
Well, I don't know if it is available.
I think it's on all our websites.
Oh man, we need to definitely promote that. That would be a good thing for the.
That would be probably the strongest that we could go, because it just adds that extra layer that's not on the server. It's actually attached to like someone's device or an email that they have to go check. That's completely outside of the login process. And
if you look in MemberPress on any of our websites, if you just check out a member, it'll say whether or not there's 2FA activated. And I'm pretty sure the plugin is on the dashboard.
The main thing would be convincing that our customers, the slight inconvenience of putting in the number is worth the security.
Would this be for subscribers or just the
Subscribers.
newspaper?
It would need to be for everybody because the bots are acting like subscribers.
So the subscribers would have to get that Google Authenticator app.
It works the way we log into our websites, because when we log in with our account, the admin account, it's always 2FA. And so, yeah, I just have an authenticator, and every time you put in the code.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, and especially when I'm doing some management stuff on the back end, I'll have to, if you close the window and you come back to it, maybe even 3 minutes later, 2FA's asked again. Not always, but
right.
It depends on the cookies and stuff that says you've already passed that. But
Okay, it's called WP2FA is the plugin. I'm not sure how that would work with it. So
yeah, I thought that was just for the newspaper staff. This is all new to me if it's for subscribers.
Because I would guess that we instigated, or James wanted to instigate it at the admin level, and we didn't necessarily feel the need to inflict it on the subscribers. But if we're talking about bots, that's the whole point, is trying to figure out who's a subscriber, who's having trouble logging in, and who's a bot that's going to keep trying.
On the member profile, it says two-factor authentication settings. Add two-factor authentication to strengthen the security of your user account. That's just a random subscriber.
We could give the option to let them voluntarily use that. I mean, that's the way a lot of the other social sites are doing it, it's an opt-in, but that doesn't necessarily help the publisher as much, because what we need is the publisher being protected. A part of course, the 2FA is to protect your own information, but a lot of our sites aren't really collecting lots of personal data other than just their work on the site itself. So yeah, even with an opt-in, that still leaves it open.
And then you have, Red Hook people that don't even want to put in their password, let alone a 2FA thing.
Yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, that as of right now is it's a strong one, but it also comes with that inconvenience cost. Absolutely. I wonder if there's a way of whitelisting people. So if you're not part of this group, you have more difficult steps.
There's a whitelist option in the 2FA plugin.
For IP addresses?
Yeah, it's for IP addresses, yes.
Is it? Yeah.
But
there's just a tab that says whitelist.
Yeah, that's what that's for, is IP addresses, because I do that for people that are having difficulty logging in, or reCAPTCHA is failing when they're trying to renew their subscriptions. I whitelist them.
That's an interesting way of differentiating people. I mean, I know people's IP addresses can change, like if they're in a coffee shop or something like that. But then you should be expected to deal with more security because you're on a public Wi-Fi or something. But if your home IP address, which shouldn't change that often, was just on a list, they could get, it's kind of like at the airport where you got your verifications, you can bypass some of the security. Maybe there's some way we could do that so we don't inconvenience the people who we already know are real and we know kind of where they're coming from, and then throw in an extra level of security for anyone who's not. I mean, if they're trying to create an account, that's one thing, but actually trying to log in and all these kind of things, and they've got some IP address that is nowhere, maybe not even in the country, they can still reach out, I guess, and find out.
Right. And we have IP addresses in Matimo, don't we?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things I was going to say is I actually talked to Jim Moss over at the Comet. He's actually putting what his page views and traffic is at the bottom of his emails to kind of let subscribers know, hey, look, we have the traffic. We have people coming in. They're authenticated. We have activity. We have a healthy site. Advertise with us. So I think that's a really good thing that he's being proactive ahead of this. He didn't even know about it.
And the other login option, which we've discussed, but I think James said it would be pretty difficult to implement, would be using OpenAuth, where you can use like your Google account and some other things to log in that way.
What happened with that?
I don't know, but I think that's going to be inevitable. I think we really need to pursue that.
Yeah, I see it on probably half the sites that I go on now.
Right.
Either log in with Google or Facebook or something.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm asking James like some specifics. These could be like kind of sales points, Tyler. You could talk about the things that we do to block bots and also the things we do or we could do to white label the subscribers, if they have the 2FA. But it sounds like it's not working right now. The 2FA for customers. Here it is. James says firewall rules with the help of CrowdSec for automatic detection. That's kind of technical. I don't know if you need to go in.
Yeah, I think just emphasizing that we're looking out for them and that we know how to find them is probably sufficient. Like, this just reminded me, was it O'Fallon that had all those fake transactions on their Stripe account when they tried to move over?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So situations like that will catch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you can actually degrade the quality of service of a site by running so many transactions through it. That's basically, that's one of the nastier ones.
Bot growth was negative, but recently this is reversed, and the proportion of humans is the lowest in 8 years. And most concerningly, bad bots are increasing at a rate of 5% per year. Another estimate says that bots could be up to 64% of the internet. Whilst data isn't available just yet, the burgeoning abilities of generative AI will undoubtedly impact these numbers in the future. The theory also talks about AI influencers. Although not so easy in 2021, today it wouldn't be hard to set up an Instagram profile of someone, generated entirely in Midjourney.
Day 1.
So the first step in creating the next viral influencer, the next Charlie D'Amelio, the next Addison Rae is, well, creating them. Pay $10 for Midjourney V5 to get a slightly less horrifying influencer to make famous. Introducing April Isabella. Bro, I cannot believe this is not a real person. What the actual... Hi. Now, of course, the first thing that every famous influencer needs is an Instagram. So I started April's profile and used ChatGPT to write her a bio.
Making soap and candles, learning languages and stargazing, collecting vinyl and playing games, plant mom, quirky girl.
Okay. Then I used Midjourney again to generate some photos that would match the quirky white girl aesthetic that we all know and love. A picture of April at the gym, one of her hanging out with friends, and of course one of her at Starbucks. Surprisingly, April's posts were actually getting likes somehow. Now, to be fair, they were definitely all bots, but that's not important.
In May of 2023, influencer Karen Marjorie made an AI version of herself to sell to fans. Die-hard followers could pay $1 a minute to talk to her. Well, the ChatGPT 4 version of her anyway. It's the AI version of the influencer that could be their personal girlfriend. It's straight out of Black Mirror, but it is the kind of thing we'll see more of in the future. The theory goes on to state that social media may be mostly bots too. An article by the publication The Atlantic looked at examples of tweets with the exact same text repeated by countless accounts with eerily similar profile pictures. And most weirdly of all, these accounts had huge engagement levels, far more than would be expected of an account of this nature. In 2018, data scientist Tom Leung warned of an inversion point where YouTube bots would make up a larger percentage of viewership than real people. This would distort analytics and make it harder to identify real traffic from fake traffic. Basically, it would destroy YouTube. There's no evidence that this has happened on YouTube just yet, but on Facebook, it's already happened. In 2019, Facebook shut down a staggering 5.4 billion fake accounts, more than twice the number of real accounts on the site.
So here is from Q4 2017 up to Q4 2022. And these are the number of fake accounts removed on Facebook in the millions. That's 1.3 billion accounts, over 2 billion back in 2019, which would have been...
That's only 1 quarter, right?
That's 1 quarter, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 1.3 billion accounts in a single quarter. 1.8 here, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a fall off at the beginning of the pandemic here, but then it ramped back up pretty quickly to how many they were taken down. But I just wanted to provide a bit more recent info on that particular stat.
Okay, cool. Very interesting. Go ahead, John.
I know you touched on this. Where are these bots coming from? Are these guys that are creating these bots? Are they making money, or are they generated by artificial intelligence?
This is the Russian thing. This was the building in Russia that had like 100 people in there. And all they did all day long was create fake accounts and start putting out propagandistic fake news on both sides just to inflame everything. And now I'm guessing that more and more of the actual text content is probably done by ChatGPT, but the other stuff is just the standard bots that you can program to. And you can program a bot to go through the entire setup process. And yeah, but I think he goes on a little bit more with Facebook. So we'll continue with that.
2025 to 2026, nearly 99% of the internet will be generated by artificial intelligence. The bots will win, they will outweigh humans, and in this scenario, the internet may be very well dead after all. Not all of this internet traffic will be bad though. A lot of these bots will perform helpful tasks for people, like customer service assistants, or even AutoGPT style stuff, where you can ask it to go out to the internet and do anything for you. But regardless, computer scientists will have to come up with novel ways to mitigate the damage. In the past, it was easy to spot a bot. They were clunky, unhuman in their appearance and communication style, so we could just ignore those Instagram DMs saying that we'd want a gift card, or an email that claims that we're due a huge tax refund and we could just get on with our day. But as AI evolves, the line will blur between human-produced content and AI-generated content. I encourage you to watch a video by the YouTube channel Jubilee. In it, they ran an interesting experiment. By only using questions and answers in text format, 6 humans had the task of guessing who among them was a secret AI imposter.
My goal would be to blend in with the human competitors as much as possible, without giving any clues that I am an AI. When people are constantly on their phones and not present in the moment, LOL.
Mouth noises, because just like, stop.
That a plane is going to crash into my living room every time a loud one flies over.
I don't know. I was just being extra, I guess. I was just numbering like 1, 2, 3, trying to be organized. Maybe I was thinking too much like an AI, but if I wouldn't have did that, I think I would have won.
I'm sure that I answered the questions pretty quickly, which is probably why I also got voted out, because they were kind of short and sweet.
What's the craziest dream you've had?
The night I got my wisdom teeth removed, I had a dream that glass was coming out of my gums where my teeth had been.
Are you a robot?
No, LOL.
If the lights turn green, then you have successfully voted out the AI and you win. If the lights turn red, that means the AI is still in the box and you all lose. 3, 2, 1.
Yes. Money.
It was extremely hard for them to tell, and multiple humans were voted out for being AI. It just goes to show you how far we've come. In the 1950s, British computer scientist Alan Turing developed a test to measure a machine's ability to exhibit intelligent behavior indistinguishable from that of a human. It's called the Turing test, and it's become the benchmark for realistic language AI. If you want to have a go at it yourself, AI21 Labs has released a gamified social version of the Turing test called Human or Not. In the game, users are invited to have a conversation and decide whether they're speaking to a human or a robot. As we all know, developments are moving at lightning speed. As of today though, only 2 AI systems are capable of passing the Turing test, albeit in narrow settings. Google's Lambda was the first chatbot to pass the Turing test in July of 2022. And of course, OpenAI's ChatGPT became the second one to pass the test. We're also starting to see studies that suggest humans are beginning to trust AI to validate facts and make decisions over other humans. A 2020 study by researchers at the University of Georgia found that given a choice of trusting medical information provided by humans or generated by AI, people were more likely to trust the information provided by the AI.
One of the scariest things for me is the health impact of who may or may not be using. And I mean, everybody goes to WebMD. This is just like a hyper advanced version of WebMD that sounds much more convincing. And can be kind of scary, I'm thinking. All right, well, we got a couple minutes left on this, and then we can do some more discussion if you guys want.
Sure.
At a time when information online should be endless, browsing the web can feel repetitive, like there's nothing new to see. But soon, there may be swaths of text, conversations, images, and even whole websites and videos generated by AI. From scammers to fake reviews to online generated information being filled with lies and half-truths. If we're not careful, we could be entering a post-truth world. There's a lot of issues coming our way, but there is a ray of hope. Many companies are starting to fight AI with AI. There's a growing trend of creating AI detection tools. A prototype also exists that takes a paragraph of text and ascertains whether or not it was generated by AI. This can be achieved by tweaking the choice of words selected by ChatGPT that can be picked up by a tool looking for AI-generated text, but all of this would be unnoticeable to the user. Such technology could be adapted for other forms of generative AI. Google and Microsoft are working on their own version for images. These are all great steps, and if more companies follow suit, we may at least stand a chance of combating the wave of low-quality AI stuff coming. Critical thinking, seeking further context, and technological literacy will be increasingly important. The bottom line is we all have to be more discerning. So in conclusion, while the original dead internet theory may be a bit crackpot, it ended up being a prediction of a likely future if nothing changes. Generic AI-generated comments and posts will take up more of our online spaces. But ending on a positive note, there is something that can be and is being done about it, from Google's digital markers to Microsoft's content credentials. Further developing these safeguards are arguably as important as the development of the technology itself.
They signed on to use the same underlying specifications, but content credentials is still an Adobe product.
Education on media literacy and critical thinking skills may go a long way too. Although, once we do have a framework in place, we can enjoy the productivity and creativity gains brought about by using AI as a tool and as an aid. Alright, so that is the dead internet theory and how AI is playing into that. Hope you learned something. If you did, feel free to have a look around on the channel.
All right.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So any other comments? Can we just quickly, can you bring up that chart one more time? It was either in the video, like you showed it in the beginning, I think. Gaming was at the top.
I think it was, yeah, here it is.
This one. Yeah. Bot versus good bot. Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. So all the gaming sites, I mean, I don't know if you've done much of the gaming live streaming or watched any of that stuff, but they get view bots all the time. So you get a viewer or a streamer that's got 30,000 viewers and they're all bots, but it's pushing their numbers up to get them closer to getting monetization from the platform. So people would actually commission bots to invade their channel
right.
to get their numbers up for that reason.
Right. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Hey, this was fun, guys. Thanks as always.
Yep. Take care. See you later.